Welcome to What CEOs Talk About. Do you wonder what CEOs talk about behind closed doors? How they bring their vision to reality? How do they overcome and succeed through adversity? We share that and so much more with each episode. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, this is Martin Hunter, your host of the What CEOs Talk About show, where we talk about translating strategy into frontline operations. Past guests include Mark Raffin, Jeff Livingston, Matt Newman, Xingli Li, Mona Forster, Ryan McKenzie, like a list of them. And then we are going to add Stephen Daniels to the list of past and previous guests. So thank you very much, Stephen, for being on the show.
My pleasure.
The episode is brought to you by Urgio. Urgio is Latin for to urge, a strong desire to drive change, stimulate thought, incite feeling, encourage action. Urgio provides fractional COO services to move you through growing pains so that your company can flourish and profit. Steve, you're a visionary CEO and you lead and you coach a lot of visionary CEOs. How important is it to have an integrator, a person that translates that vision into frontline operation?
Oh, I love this question. So a lot of people think that all leaders are supposed to be the exact same person. There's a success formula that if every leader had this, they'd finally have success. Well, that's absolutely not true. In fact, there's two very opposite ends of operational execution and things like that in an office. One is the visionary. So usually the CEO is the visionary who sees long-term. And then the COO is the executor. So when you have a vision, sometimes the CEO is not the best person to be executing that vision. So having somebody in place that can execute on a daily basis and bring that vision to life is very vastly different roles. So incredibly important.
Thank you. Well, I like executioner too.
Yes, absolutely. They are the executioner in the office, sometimes in more ways than one.
That's right. That's right. Martin Hunter, a.k.a. the Punisher.
Exactly.
So if you're that visionary CEO and you want somebody to translate that vision into frontline operations, or if you're VC and one of the companies that you manage has a visionary CEO at the helm and you want to help monetize that vision because he or she doesn't know how to get there, go to urgio.ca. You can email them at info@urgeo.ca. Urgio has worked with a multitude of companies from SaaS, CPG, mining, transportation, from startup, mom and pop shop, all the way to large multinational corporations. Our guest, Stephen Daniels, today, CEO of Slight Edge Group, almost 13 years in the making, a licensee of the LMI Group, Leadership Management Institute,
Institute in the States and international outside. So, yes.
Fabulous. And that was founded by Paul Meyer. And we'll talk about a little bit more about Paul Meyer, but great thinker at, Stephen Covey level. I mean, like, you want to talk about a great person.
Stephen Covey learned from Paul Meyer.
And there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stephen, for those who are watching, Stephen, when you see his hand go up, you'll see a ring bling bling up there. So he's got too many awards for me because then we take up all the podcasts and go through. and he's a product of the product. We'll tell about his story a little bit later on. Stephen has applied a lot of the principles that he coaches and teaches leaders. So he's not a bullshitter. So we'll talk about that. And speaking of no bullshit, Steve, what's the title of the show today?
There is no magic pill. There is no shortcut to success. You can either be comfortable or you can be successful, but you can't be both.
We're gonna. I want to dive into that. So I'm gonna ask the editors at the show to put like dramatic music when you say magic pill. Da 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 da.
I was just gonna say dun dun dun. Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see that.
And when you say something really nice, I'll put that on YouTube. We put little hearts around your head and go, oh.
Put a nice little angel
a halo
above my head, and it just pops in.
I don't know about that. You might be surprised.
That's probably not a good idea.
You might get little horns in the tail. Right?
Probably.
All right. Start with your story. Back in
2008. Holy crap, you're dating me. So I was, went to university, took sociology, switched to psychology, didn't want to be a professor or a psychologist. So left school a little bit early to go to work and just think about what I was doing. Moved out west to Alberta, and worked in the hotel industry for 6 years. Worked my way up from a maintenance guy to the rooms division manager of one of the larger resorts in Banff, Alberta, and learned a lot. Was really passionate about bringing new people on. Didn't know what that meant yet. Ended up going back to school, getting a degree in business, switching from psych, but my minor is psychology. Wanted to learn direct sales, specifically sought out direct sales roles because I wanted to learn the skill. Found one with a local newspaper here that was the first online newspaper in the region, and I was selling advertising on that website. So plethora of knowledge that I got from that job. I had an incredible team that I worked from. I had an incredible boss that they all poured into me, and it was great. And I ended up moving into another role with another company. I was director of sales and marketing for a small marketing firm. All that to be said, in 2008, I had an opportunity to go through what's called an effective personal productivity program with LMI in this region. And within 2 weeks, my life had already begun to change. So this is how I describe it to people. It was pretty dramatic for me. But when I was growing up, my parents always said, you can do anything you want as long as you put your mind to it. Right? Your parents probably said that to you. Everybody's parents. You can all relate.
With a swift kick to the ass, too.
Yes, absolutely. But you got to do it, right? You got to put your mind to it. And if you don't, I will put my boot to your ass, right? But it's funny, when you're growing up, you stop believing that stuff because you look around and you're like, everybody says that, but nobody actually does it. Well, when I started my journey with the Effective Personal Productivity Program, or the EPP for short, I started to realize that my parents were right. They just didn't know it. And when my eyes were opened, and it's like, I use math as an analogy all the time because it's so easy, but it's like you've been taught your entire life 2 + 2 = 5. And your whole life, you believe that word to be true. And then as soon as you take 2 apples and bring 2 apples together and you realize that it's 4 when you add them up, you can never go back to believing 2 + 2 = 5 ever again. So I feel like this veil was lifted off my eyes, and I realized nothing in my life is based on circumstances. Everything is based on my choices. And that was so empowering to me that I just had to be a part of this business. Made a phone call to the national headquarters and said, what do I do? They told me within 2 weeks after that. So we're 4 weeks into this program. I had quit my job and started a practice.
Damn. So who paid for the program? Was it the employer that paid for the plan?
Yeah, I had to pay them back. I had to pay them back at that point because they felt that,
You think?
yeah. But that well worth it. So it came out of my own pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you haven't looked back, and I can just imagine the employer is like, I just lost one of my best guys. I wanted to make him better.
I'm investing in him, and he ends up leaving and going to. But it's funny because I've always been a really good communicator. When I sat down with him, I said, I found my calling. This is where I'm supposed to be. And I feel like I was doing a good job for you and I was getting great results, but I didn't love what I was doing. And this is where I feel I'm supposed to be. And he understood that. And he's like, you still have to pay for it, but I totally understand, and I endorse and support it. And that company actually that I was working for has continued to be a client of my office since then. So
let's name drop if you want to. You're more than welcome to put a shout out to this gentleman and his business.
Well, yeah, it was Kinetic Interactive. So they are actually the ones that have developed our website, which is slightedge.ca. And the CEO, Carl Roy, he was the guy that I was working for back then, and my life wasn't fully fulfilled, but I was still learning some skills, and he was very accepting of the decision that I made, even though I think he was sad to see me leave, based on the results that I was getting at his company. But yeah, it was great. He could have easily been very angry at me and at the facilitator of the program at the time, but he wasn't. He understood. But he's also an entrepreneur as well. He started that company from scratch probably 15 years before that, and he had 10 employees and all. So he got it. He understood that, if you know where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do, I should probably stand out of your way or get out of your way. So
a lot of people forget that. So when you hire somebody, they think that it's a business relationship. When you're truly a transformational leader, instead of being a transactional leader, the relationship that you build with your team, may it be boss to employee, employee to employee, will live on for a long time. So open the door of the cage, let the bird go out. and that's how I see things. I always tell people when I hire them, the good ones, so when you're leaving, I say, you want me to go? No. You will outgrow me. And if you don't, then I'm going to push you to be better or to take over my role. But ultimately, I want you to do what's right for you. Because if you're not happy and comfortable, then you're not going to deliver my expectation. You have to believe in the cause. And if this is the place for you for the rest of your life and you're comfortable with that, that's okay. But I'm going to push you everything. So I think that this gentleman did the right thing. Yeah, and look, he's got a friend. He's got a business partner. You guys, I'm sure, do referrals for each other as well. So 100%. Treat people with dignity and respect. And a contract's a contract. Contracts make good friends, right? So you paid him back. You felt good. He felt good. And it's like, all right, done deal. Yeah. Let's move on. All right. So
100%.
So we're 4 weeks into the program. You started the program. You've quit your job. You've reached out to the head office in Ontario, I guess it is.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I want to be a licensee, I'm assuming.
No, actually, at the time, the facilitator that was facilitating the program that I was in was a licensee in the region. So I started working with him as an associate in his office. And I'll make that long story very short, but he and I, phenomenal facilitator. I still give him credit to this day for introducing me to this business, because it truly has changed my life, and I couldn't thank him enough. However, as a business partner, he and we were very different people. I see this as a mission. And I won't name drop in this case, but I see this as a mission, a way for me to give back. And yes, I need money to live. Yes, I need to make revenue in order to grow the team, to grow our reach so that we can reach more people. And there is a reason why we count people, and that's because people count. But it's not about me getting rich. It's not about me trying to get enough money that eventually I can drive a Ferrari around my city. There's so much more to it than that. And my former business partner, if you want to call him that, really was focused a little too much on the money side of things, trying to make the sale, trying to make too much revenue. And I it was only a matter of time. I did work with him for about 6 months, but it was probably 3 months in that I was already starting to think, you know what, this is probably not going to work, but I didn't know what my options were. So after about 6 months, I finally did cut the cord and did purchase a license to start operating my own office, and started from scratch. I had 2 clients the day I started. That was it. So it's nuts to think about it. And I was sure at the end of the first year that I was going to be so successful that I would never look back. And not even close. It's amazing. It's amazing. But I mean, I wouldn't change a thing, because that difficulty that I had to go through for the first 3 to 4 years, not the first 12 months, before I was actually able to pay myself an adult salary, as I describe it, that was part of what built me to the person that I am today.
Hey, absolutely, man. That's for those who are watching or listening, you can see Steve's enthusiasm and joy for life. I mean, you can hear it, you can see it. You've never dropped that since, I mean, how long have we known each other? 4 years? No, more than that.
I don't, that's a good
6?
question.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
Hindmarsh has been out of the business now for like 3 years, and it would have been before that. So
Yeah,
I'm going to say 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, 5 or 6 years. Yeah, somewhere around there. So, Ryan Hindmarsh, he's going to be in the next. Well, I'm going to reach out to.
He would be a good interview as well.
CEO of a mattress company. That's pretty cool. Like,
no, not mattress. It's sleep therapeutics. They do things like CPAP machines. It's a health equipment company.
So Ryan, big apology on that one.
If you're listening to this, I remember that I corrected Martin. All right.
So back to, I think you named it well. If we bring it back to Magic Pill, it's about being mission based, right? So failure
your purpose.
Exactly. So your purpose, your mission was what drove you through those tough times, right? So let's talk about Magic Pill a little bit. So you're going through the tough times. When did you realize, oh, wow, there's really no magic pill?
I realized at the end of the first year, I was nowhere near where I thought I was going to be. Wouldn't change anything, like I said, but because failure wasn't an option for me, I knew I was in this for life. But I realized at that point that if it was easy, I probably wouldn't want to do it. It was actually, there's a quote, and I can't remember who says it, but if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And I also believe that every single person on the planet is only 5 years away from everything they've ever wanted. It's just that most people aren't willing to do whatever it takes to get what they want. So knowing that in the back of my mind, it was tough. I had a hard first year. I was nowhere near where I thought I was going to be. At the end of the second year, same thing. I had momentum and it was growing. I had 2 big hills to climb in on the East Coast here because no one had really heard of LMI. So I first had to educate people that who LMI was and why you need to know that name. And secondly, I needed to educate people that it wasn't a luxury, it was a necessity for them to start utilizing what we bring. So, you walk into somebody's office and they're like, I've never heard of LMI. What is this company? That challenge no longer exists for us, at least in the, the greater region that we're in right now, because everybody has either worked with us or knows of people that have, which is incredible to think that that's happened in the last 12 and a half years. But the first 4 years, I don't know how many times I was close to bankrupt. I put payroll on my credit card on more than one occasion.
Who has not done that as an entrepreneur, right? Going cash flow, cash is king. Yeah. And you practice all of that all you want, and then you go, and
well, that's cash flow is king, but if there's no cash coming in,
that's right.
I don't know how many times, and I call it a God thing. Other people may call it whatever they want, but there were so many times when I had a payroll that was due on a Tuesday, and I would get the check that Tuesday morning that I needed in order to make that payroll. Like that happened to me so many times. Yeah, like it's incredible. And you know what? It's funny. People may or may not get it, but that never stressed me out. I don't know why it didn't stress me out. I always felt like this is going to be fine. This is where I'm supposed to be. And yeah, you know what? This for the short term, this is going to be tough. I've got to max out my credit card to put it on payroll. I don't want to cash my own checks that I'm writing for myself because I don't want to take the money out of the account because I need that for supplies or whatever.
Yeah.
But I knew it was just a matter of time when all that would change. And I was able to, and I guess that's where that visionary side of me comes in. I've always been a 5 to 10 year down the road kind of guy. And I have confidence that I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. So, and I just didn't get stressed because I just loved and believed and I think that's the thing too. Steve Jobs is famous for saying, 70% of businesses go out of business or 70% of startups go out of business because the owners are sane. Right. And what he means by that is if you're not insanely passionate about what you're doing, you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
And for me, I knew I was going to make it. I was going through some tough times, but I was so passionate about what I was doing that failure wasn't an option. And everyone in the world needs to hear the message that I'm trying to bring to them. So what do I need to do to make that happen?
So this is where I want to clarify, because I'm not sure if I agree with you can be comfortable and successful. You can choose, because
you can't be both.
You are comfortable in discomfort.
Right.
That's so.
Yes.
So
see, now you're just mincing my words.
I am, because it's important. That's the conversation that we have. Because some people will say, "Well, what do you mean?" I mean, Martin, you had a podcast with Sebastian, and he's all about freedom, and he's comfortable, and he's successful. And so, what Stephen is saying is that you have to accept whatever is coming forward with that mission. So, be comfortable with risk. Yeah. Be comfortable with unknowns. Be comfortable with the people around you. And that's what he's saying, is that not a matter of rich or poor. You can't. No. Some companies are not, they barely make $500,000 a year, but people are comfortable with that. And it's okay. It's their version of success. But to get there, there was some uncomfortable moments. And to be comfortable with discomfort. And that's what I try to not try. I don't, 3 words.
Here's try. I don't understand.
I know you said, but, so 3 words that I tell my kids all the time not to say: but, try, and can't. So try sets you up for failure. You and I agree to that. But I love you, but I don't like your tortillas. So the tortillas are more important than the love that I have for you.
Yeah.
And can't. It's not that you can't, you just choose not to.
Yes.
And so those are the things that
100% agree with you.
Yeah. So for me, when Steve said, you can't be comfortable or successful, I just want to make sure that everybody understands his point of view is not that, like what they call it, the velvet jail, where you're so rich, you don't know what to do. And that's what happens with a lot of kids.
Well, there's an awful lot of people that are in that position that are not comfortable either.
Absolutely. Right.
So
absolutely.
And I don't mean not comfortable as in, they're still putting themselves out there. I'm saying they're realizing that having a basement full of cash isn't making them happy.
Correct.
So cash and success are not the same thing. A lot of people think I mean success and cash equaling the same thing, and they're not the same thing at all.
Agreed. So those nomenclature, those hashing up the words, very important. I always say a hard day's work is a successful day, and hard work should always be celebrated, regardless. Too many times.
I say working smarter, not harder, but you can say
working smart and hard.
Yeah,
a lot of people say, for my kids, and kids and staff as well. I think it's important to really be clear that we're not here to be lazy, right?
Yeah,
too many kids today, this cutting thing, kids cutting themselves and stuff like that to feel pain and emotions, right? So if you let your kid go out without his cell phone for a little bit, and that person struggles how to get home, they'll learn something pretty fucking quick. And so, I mean,
that's a good point.
I mean, you and I grew up in a time where you would eat your breakfast as fast as humanly possible because you wanted to get on your bike to go out, and you go from your friend's house to your friend's house on your bike, and you knock on the front door and you say, "Mrs. Williams, is Johnny out?" And you say, "No, Johnny left. He's gone to, little Kyle's house." And then you moved on. And then your mom would scream your name out, your full name. When
supper's ready.
Yeah. When supper's ready.
Dinner's on the table. It's true.
So I think that's, that really brings it back to no magic pill of living your days to your value. So let's bring it back to that.
So yeah, one thing that I just want to jump in and say too is anybody that's listening, if there is a part of you or all of you that is not where you want it to be, you have to get uncomfortable. Or if you stay comfortable, you will, the part that's concerning you right now, 10 years from now, will still concern you.
That
So
is magic.
I say to people all the time, listen, you say you don't have time to make these changes. First of all, that's bullcrap. We all know that's not true. But secondly, if you don't make these changes 6 months from now, how will you feel if we have this exact same conversation again? There's a reason why we're having this conversation and why you have these concerns. So would you like to put them off for another 6 months or for another 6 years or never actually address them? And I could think of relationships with our kids, for example. I don't know how many times I've had conversations with CEOs and they say, I'm just so busy at the office, I don't have time to spend with my kids. And I say, okay, well, would you rather, how would this feel once they graduate from high school and leave the house, you coming to me and us having this conversation then? Would that feel better than you actually making time to make a change or taking the time to make a change and actually spend quality time with them now? While they're 14 years old and they still live in your house, or while they're 8 years old and they still live in your house? And the answer is the same every time. No, I need something to change. So if people keep focusing on the time, or I don't have time, or I don't have this, or I don't have the money to do it, and stop focusing on the results that they actually want to accomplish in their life, that's a problem. And that person will remain, as Paul Meyer, our founder, used to say, mediocre for the rest of their life. And I wouldn't wish mediocrity on my worst enemy. It is terrible for people. And we are producing a lot of mediocre people in this society today, in today's day and age, because everybody wants to point the finger at circumstances instead of taking personal responsibility. And it makes my ears bleed when I hear people talk about, oh, these are the cards that were dealt, that kind of thing.
I tell a lot of people, normal is okay. Normal is okay. You don't have to be the next Steve Jobs. You don't have to be, Bill Gates. You don't have to do that. But like you said, don't be mediocre. Don't accept things. Oh, don't be Eeyore. Oh, the world is collapsing on my shoulders, right? Be Tigger.
I can't believe it. It's just another day.
And that's right. Tigger, T-I-double-G-R. I mean, unstoppable.
Yes.
That
it's all attitude.
Exactly. So let's talk about your journey, because you're a product of the product.
Yeah.
You used to be a little pudge ball. Just teasing. You had enough about your physique, and you said enough is enough. So what triggered that thought process, that change? And you said, okay, there's no magic pill. I have to work hard, and pardon my French, fuck it. Let's go. Let's do this.
So that's a complex question, but I'm happy to dive into it because I'm an open book. So when I was younger in university, I was an athlete, playing basketball. That was my primary sport, but I played a lot of other sports as well, always in good shape. And when I moved out west, I continued to do a lot of that, even though it was after I was graduated from university, or only had a little bit of university left post university, if you want to call it that. And then I got married back in 2007, and I happened to be married to someone that, I don't know how to describe this. They were a little bit more on the dependent side. They liked having me around and didn't really like it when I left the house. So I made a decision. It has nothing to do with that person, but I made a decision that I would stay around with them a little bit more often. And I as a result, I became a little less active as a result of those decisions. And it was in the early years of me building the business that I started to put on a little bit of weight. And long story short, in 2013, got separated, got a divorce in 2014, and decided that it was time to get me back to me when it comes to my physical health. I am coaching people from a leadership development standpoint. Part of that is taking care of yourself. And I was coaching people how to put their physical health first and not demonstrating it. So for me, and that had been put off for too long. So I knew all I needed to do was be disciplined. It is the small habits every day. That's why we call ourselves the Slight Edge Group. It's the slight edge that we give ourselves every single day, that I knew if I followed through and committed and was consistent, that I would see big results very fast. So I set a goal at the beginning of 2014 that I was going to compete in Tough Mudder in Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
And which was August 19th, 2014. And I was very heavy at the beginning of 2014. And I made that commitment February 3rd, 2014, and worked my butt off, literally, to right up until August 19th, and competed and completed Tough Mudder,
Wow.
Ontario. And everybody needs a deadline. If you don't have a deadline, something that you're working towards, you're not going to be committed. And I didn't want to look like an ass and not be able to complete the obstacle course. So I paid my money. I had a team signed up with me, and there was no turning back at that point. So, and that was a blast. And product of the product, you use that term. That's something that I say all the time. In order for me to demonstrate and not feel like a hypocrite doing what I do, I can't just tell people that to do it for themselves and not show them how it's done. I need to lead by example. So if I was coaching people how to get fit and I remained fat, then, for lack of a better term, then why would people listen to me?
So tell us, there is no magic pill. How do you maintain? So that's a key component that a lot of people put a lot of effort up front, right? They go, wow, I want to lose all this weight. I want to change my business. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then you go, okay, great. I've hit my target, but then what next? Right? So what's the no magic pill to maintain anything, not just health, but anything like that, right?
That's a good question too. When I say that, I think automatically people think that for the rest of my life, it has to be grinding. That's not necessarily true either. I kind of like how Jim Rohn put it. He said that successful people are the people that are willing to do what unsuccessful people aren't, in order to get in order to get where unsuccessful people never will. And there will be a time when your hard work is going to pay off. So if you stay committed and focused, I tell people every time a new person joins our team, I tell them today is going to be the hardest day, right? Every day from this point forward is going to be easier than the previous, because everything that you're doing is going to start paying off. So a year from now, it'll be half as hard as it is today. But that will only work if you put the investment into this year, right? And if you're willing to do that for 5 straight years, guess what? It's going to get really easy for you.
Yeah.
And the business will start coming to you instead of you having to go the other way. It's the magic pill part that I'm talking about is you can't skip to the end of that 5 years. You got to be willing to invest that 5 years in order to get that result first. Then once it gets easy, then you've already separated yourself from the average of society. You're in the top 5%, as we like to talk about.
Yeah. For me, a lot of people think as a target of long range. That's sometimes where I have an issue with goals, is that they think it's like buying something. They buy boots because they see themselves better hikers, right? I'm going to buy these kick-ass hiking boots, and I'm going to become the best hiker that I can be. They see themselves in the future, and they always live in the future where they realize that today is how you become a better hiker. It's walking 20 steps further than you did yesterday.
100%. Yep.
And so people put these goals up there and go, I'm going to be so much better when this happens. And then you realize, wow, it's too far ahead. So building those habits today, we're changing that behavior. And that's one thing that I say all the time is about what's the behavior and the system that you want to use? What's the behavior that will lead you to the goal? But ultimately, you're living that goal every single day. And that for me is that is no magic pill. There's no magic pill to say, I'm going to lose 200 pounds, too much, but I'm going to lose 40 pounds, right? So Start by losing half a pound a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that'll get you there.
It's consistent. I'm going to share a quote again from Paul Meyer, our founder, that every time I hear it, I get tingles, because it's just so, if you really understand what he's saying, it's unbelievably powerful. So Paul Meyer said that your having goals are a result of your becoming goals.
Okay, say it again.
So your having goals are a result of your becoming goals. In other words, everything that you have or have accomplished in your life, it is because of the person that you've become.
Cool, yeah.
Right? So if you and I both know this, and we've talked about it before, if you believe you're a loser, but you want to be a winner, you're going to be a loser. Right? So you have to become a winner before you can actually become a winner. Right? You have to change the way you think. You have to change who you are. You have to be willing to become whatever your goal requires of you to accomplish it. And if you didn't have to change who you are in order to accomplish the goal, then you would have already accomplished the goal. Right?
Yeah.
What I love about that, in the reverse of that too, is once you've accomplished the goal, it doesn't matter what people say to you ever again, or what you say to yourself in the mirror. You'll never believe that you're incapable of accomplishing that goal again, ever again in your life.
True.
Right? So that's the change that's taking place. Jim Rohn used to say everyone should want to be a millionaire, and then he would hold off and everybody would squirm in their chair, because it makes people feel uncomfortable to feel like they're materialistic. But he would look at them and say everyone should want to be a millionaire, and he said it has nothing to do with the $1 million. It has to do 100% with who you need to become in order to earn $1 million in the first place. He said then you can give the money away, but you know you're the type of person that can do it again.
Yeah, that's true.
It's so powerful, right?
It is. It is. For me, the goals are always simple. I mean, we have family meetings. Like we apply the business principles to family, and we talk about to be, to have, to do, right? So what do you want to be? Right.
Love it.
I want to be, I want to be able to speak Spanish. Okay. So that's what you would like to be. I want to have, well, I'm going to be 50 this year. I want a new motorcycle. So you have
a new convertible, right?
You have to be comfortable in wanting certain things. It's okay.
100%.
And people think, oh, you can't be materialistic, and I'm all about being minimalist. I agree with that. Right? Why do we need 12 pairs of jeans? You don't.
Right.
Yeah. You own 4 pair of pants. Oh, my goodness. Right? It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. You like watches? You want to have 16 watches because that's what you like to do? Yeah. That's fine. And
as long as you earned it, who cares?
Exactly.
If it's really something that you love, invest some time and effort and money into it because you love it. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. And then the last one is to do. Like, what do you want to do? Right? A lot of people forget. Well, I lately I've been very busy. So lately I've been saying, well, the first thing that I want to do is have lunch with my wife on a regular basis. I don't want to go to Mexico. Well, yes, I do, but
I do. I'll say that.
As you look out the window in blizzard wintry conditions, what do I want to do? And it's live that, and then so you can move on to the next one. And achieving the goal is just adding something to your existing portfolio. People say, "Oh, don't have too many goals." Bullshit.
I agree.
I
agree with you. I mean,
achieve one at a time. Don't get me wrong. Don't dilute yourself. Always, I'm a Stephen Covey fan that learned from Paul Meyer. Let's go with that. But sharpen the saw, right? Always sharpen the saw. Make sure that your skills are fine tuned. That you're always doing research. I mean,
that's actually from the Bible. It's actually that's even above.
Oh, it's above Paul Meyer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't even know that. I mean, for me, my core values and brand promises are ignite curiosity. So think about that. Ignite your curiosity, light a fire, be curious about everything and anything. crystallize your thinking. So make sure that your thinking is super crystallized, like sharpen it and go, okay,
Like a
this
photograph.
exactly, like make it crystal clear where you're going,
Mhm.
and then concentrate your action, and then push it, fine tune it like a laser, and just go for that. And then once you've achieved it, then becomes a very good question again of recycling. Okay, ask the powerful question: what do I do next? I did a podcast with a friend of mine called Dominic Rubino, where he's reinvented himself, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. Business, soul business. What do I do next? Business, soul business. What do I do next? Right. So
Cool.
What out of the LMI do you apply the best? Like when I talk about brand promises and core values, what are the things that you attach yourself the most to?
Well, that's a good question. One of the things that I'm very proud of from the very beginning, because I started at an office. I'm an entrepreneur like any other entrepreneur, and I had a lot of mentors that said, "Listen, if you're going to start a business, you're going to have to work 90-hour work weeks until you get it to the point where it's successful." And I basically said that's not acceptable, because one of the things that we coach our clients to do is, if you're having to work 90 hours a week, that means you're inefficient.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're committed. It means you're not really effective with your time.
Correct.
So if I wanted to be demonstrating from the very beginning that, I have moral standards when it comes to what it is that we coach versus me actually acting, I needed to make a decision early on that I wasn't going to be working more on average than 45 hours a week. And I've been able to maintain that since day one. I'm not saying that I've never had a 100-hour work week, because I have, but on average, over the last almost 13 years, I've worked 45 or less hours per week. And started a business, and we are consistently in the top 1 or 2 position in all of Canada.
And that's, so people often see a goal as a target or a singular event, right?
Yeah,
they go,
absolutely.
Here's the goal. I want to be 200 pounds. I want to have a car. I want to go to Mexico. They forget that the goal can be to be.
Absolutely.
To be
is the becoming part.
Correct. Oh, magical. Becoming.
Yeah.
Becoming, right? So I struggle with, I have serious work weeks. And sometimes it's not the goal that I have a hard time, is the pre-goal that I have a hard time. To be able to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, I have to go to bed at 9:30 at night. And so, the pre-goal. So you kind of change the to-do list to the not list, the not to-do list.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
No, that's very well said. I like that.
The not to-do list. So don't say, "Oh, I need to get up at 4:30. Yeah, we got that. You've tried it. You're failing at it.
Bought the t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. So then what should I not do? Oh, well, then to achieve your goal, you have to not do this. And that means that don't open your computer up after dinner time. Yeah. When you're spending time with your wife and you're looking at motorcycle equipment, don't let that email catch your eye and say, "Oh shit, I got to deal with that."
Love it. Yeah.
So the not to-do list is as important as the to-do list.
Absolutely. I love that. I had a client say this to me the other day, and I just love it. And I love the concept, and that is, wherever my feet are, I want to be there.
Ooh.
I don't know where they heard that from, or if that came straight from them. I didn't get a chance to ask them, but I absolutely was inspired when I heard that statement, because it's true. Like, how often are we sitting at the dinner table, but we're thinking about work, or we're sitting on the couch with our wife next to us, but we're thinking about work, or we're at the office and we're thinking about why can't I seem to get home to lunch with my family? We're always thinking about the other place instead of focusing on where we are. And I know we've talked in this society about being present. We probably kicked that idea to death a little bit. But quite frankly, if we could just make a decision to say, wherever I'm walking into, that's where I'm going to be at, it just really, that's how I want to live my life. wherever I'm at. If I'm talking to somebody in front of me, I want them to be consuming all of my attention.
Mhm.
I don't want to have my half thoughts everywhere else, because that person in front of me is important. And when I'm not with them, I'm thinking about what I should be doing to make them feel important. But when I am with them, I'm thinking about everything else. Like, that is a vicious cycle that we've got to get the hell out of. That we need to start focusing on where I'm at. I got to
Mhm.
start being there more. So
Yeah, that thought process. I mean, you look at Zoom and computers where we're at now. I
yeah,
mean, you're sitting in front of a door to the rest of the world,
yeah,
right? So it's very difficult to apply when you're sitting behind a computer where it's like that magic trick. You put your hand through it, and you go, oh, wow, there's the world on the other side of this. But
yeah.
so as you put your hand, you can put your head through the computer and see the entire world through it. So
Yeah.
I get where we're at. We live through the computer. We live through
Yeah.
the internet. So I think that even it's accepting and realizing where you are and where your feet are.
Mhm.
That's a great. Oh,
I love it.
that's a
I
really,
love
really
it.
good one. So
We have to make tough decisions. Yeah, that's really what it's
absolutely.
about.
So I always say leaders are learners. Okay. Not to say leaders are readers, because some people listen to audiobooks, some people lead to
Right.
podcasts.
Yeah.
What have you struggled learning? Because
Mhm.
it's easy. What have you struggled learning throughout your journey? What's the
Oh,
hardest you say, I'm still, man, I have a hard time with this.
I got a long way to grow, all around, to be honest. I could give you a list of things that I've struggled with. One is probably the one that I've dealt with the most recently. So, back in 2015, we had a huge year, nice big growth year. 2016, I decided, you know what, we're going to bring some team members on the team so that we can expand, and brought on not all, but mostly the wrong people. I didn't vet them properly.
Gotcha.
A lot of people just wanted to skip, like we talked about before, they wanted to skip to the end of the 5 years. They didn't want to actually do the work. So I poured heart and soul time into a lot of these people, and they did nothing, none of the work that's required to be successful in general, let alone in
Mhm.
this business. So in 2017, I sat down with my accountant, and this is a true story. I sat down with my accountant. My accountant said, you had to take a loss in 2016.
Ooh.
So we had a big year, 2015, record breaking year, award winning year. 2016, I brought on enough team members that we were actually 10 on the team. So it should have been a big year for us. And when I sit down with my accountant, and she said to me, you know, you don't have to pay any taxes this year because you took a loss. And it was a fairly significant loss since the very early beginning stages of the business. That's the first time that my books were in the negative. And I was pissed,
Mm.
mostly at myself, because I knew that I chose the wrong people. And I created a manifesto, if you want to call it that, or an expectations list of all associates that I still use to this day. I wrote it up, sent it out to every one of the team members, and said, and the right person's going to look at it and say, what an opportunity. The wrong person's going to look at it and say, too much work.
Mhm.
So it became a vetting tool for me. I handed that out to them, and all but one left. And the one that stayed out of that group still is with us today. And he's an awesome, awesome gentleman. That it's a pleasure to work with him. So that was a huge challenge. So he stuck around, and we've been slowly growing. So over the last, since 2017, I was kind of, I don't know what the right word is. Timid might be the right word, to just start bringing people on, because I didn't want to waste my time anymore.
Gotcha.
We had a big year again in 2017, but that's because I put myself back out there, and became the rainmaker that I needed to, in order for our business to come back. But I can't be, if we want to grow in this office, I can't be the one that's
Yeah.
always, I need to be the one that coaches the coaches, if you will.
Working on the business and not working in
Yeah,
the business. Yeah.
exactly. If I need to, because of emergency situations, I can, but for the most part, my role has changed. So that is probably the biggest thing that I've been struggling with, is my role changing, because I love sales conversations. I love sitting down with people and really doing some discovery with them and seeing if we can find a solution within our offerings. And I also love facilitating our programs. So me moving more into the CEO role over the last, I'm going to say 4 years, bringing on the right team, vetting the right team members, creating an onboarding process, all of those kinds of things. It's been a challenge because I am a doer. I am a visionary, but I also
you like to work.
I've had no choice but to be a builder over the last little while, because I was working by myself for many, many years. So the transition from the guy who gets shit done to the guy who gets other people to get the shit done really has been a challenge for me. It's been a stretch of my mind quite a bit. Like, my role is no longer to be front facing with all of our clients. My role is to be working with my team and making sure that they have all the tools to be successful, which, believe me, is extremely exciting. I'm pumped about it. But, there's always that piece of you that's like, you know what, I've poured my heart and soul into creating those relationships, and now I'm handing them off to someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Seeing your kids off to school.
Yeah. It's been a challenge for me. It really has. And we have a dream team now. So I've got an incredible team that I trust every one of them. They do incredible work, we're just, I shouldn't say we, I am rounding that corner. I'm actually starting to settle in with the idea of me being the team lead more than the rainmaker. And it's been fun. It's been a lot of growth for me, that's for sure.
Damn. I mean, like, we've been at this for 45 minutes now, and we just touched. I think we're going to do a part two
Sure.
on this one.
Sure.
Where do people get a hold of you if you're interested in people reaching out to you?
Yeah. By all means, anybody reach out to me if you have questions, comments, concerns, or want more details. Our website is slightedge.ca. Okay. We are LMI Canada Slight Edge Group. You can contact my office directly at area code 506-204-6844. We work with people right across North America out of our office because of the computer systems that we now use. If you want to email me directly, my email is sdaniels. So Steve Daniels, sdaniels@lmicanada.ca. So cool. All of our information should be at one of those three. You can find us on Facebook and LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff too. But
don't think that because you're on the East Coast, if you're on the West Coast, get a hold of Steve. He's a good guy. He's got a great team, and he'll really help your organization.
We have clients on the West Coast already.
Oh, so perfect.
It's growing. So by all means, please let us know if we can help.
Fabulous. Thank you very, very much, Steve. This is, again, a lot of information. I usually ask a whole bunch of questions, but man, you're just going at it. So I was just like, okay, let him run. Just, use the guides just a little bit here and there, but it was really amazing. So Steve, thank you very, very much for being on the show. For those who are listening, we'll definitely put another one in when the sun is shining. So we'll have another one in the summertime. So thank you very much.
I didn't really get it. People out there are probably wondering what I do for a living at this point.
It's okay. It's a mystery.
Hopefully you can find me on the internet and you'll find out that way.
So, I think they will. So it was a good time. There's a lot of stuff that CEOs can take out of this. So appreciate it.
Awesome.
With that said, my name is Martin Hunter. I have to remember, my social media team is going to kill me. Please like and subscribe. If I have to. Never thought I'd say those words in my lifetime.
Click that little bell button.
That's right. Please like and subscribe. So my name is Martin Hunter. I'm the host of What CEOs Talk About. And thank you very much, where we translate strategies into frontline operations. Thank you very much, Daniel. Everybody, enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to What CEOs Talk About. Make sure to click subscribe to get notified about future episodes, or check us out at www.whatceostalkabout.com.